Ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention, we're going to go ahead and call this special board meeting to order. Kind of give all of you an idea of why this was called with the events that have taken place since yesterday of having graduation at the Cajun Dome canceled and moving forward, and staff working very diligently since yesterday to try to put a plan together. So what we did, or I did as board president, and with council with some of my board members, decided to call a special board meeting for tonight, just in case any action would have had to have been taken to move forth with graduation. We didn't want to sit back and not call a meeting if necessary, and I personally didn't mind calling a meeting even if it wasn't necessary. We do have information. Press release has been put out on what is going to take place with graduation. I'll defer some of this to staff, and if any board members have any comments, questions. This agenda was discussion and our action. There will be no action taken tonight. It'll be mainly discussion. The first thing I'd like to do is thank our superintendent, Ms. Trosclair, and her staff. And I wish I could name every one of them. I promise you they didn't get any sleep last night. The minute they got word midday yesterday of graduation being canceled at the Cajun Dome, they went in high gear, which for them that's pretty easy. They're used to that. They've done an excellent job. Very proud of their effort, as should everybody. I also want to take, as information comes out of where graduation will be held, which will be Cajun Field, would like to thank President Salvo, the University of Louisiana, and all his staff and the people involved, and also the Cajun Dome, for stepping up as our hometown university, stepping up to help our students here with LPSS. Because let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, this 2020 class of seniors have had a lot thrown against them, and they deserve their graduation. They deserved every ounce of effort that was put into it. They're worth it. I wholeheartedly believe this 2020 class, there's something special out there for these students that withstood a lot. I think they're going to have a bright future, but just wanted to kind of throw those thank yous out, and I can't thank staff enough. But I'm going to go ahead, and if I could, Ms. Trosclair, I don't know if you want to defer to someone, if we can start to sort of put out what information we have, in board members. I guess we can go casual on this, being it's just a discussion now. You have any questions, any comments, any input, please feel free to chime in. Ms. Trosclair, I'll give you the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Latchley. So I too want to thank UL for stepping up today and working with us to be able to allow us to provide an in-person graduation to our students. It was something that was important to us since May. We wanted to be able to allow parents to see their children in some type of ceremony. So right before this meeting, we did finalize things with UL and with times. There are some times, and I want to caution the public that there were some times posted for graduation ceremonies that were incorrect. We are in the process right now of putting out an official release from our district with the correct times. We did have to adjust some of those times because with the ceremonies now being outside, we didn't want to have ceremonies in the heat of the day at 1 or 2. We know that our students will be in robes, and it's going to be very hot. We looked at the predictions there. I think we'll have good weather as far as for lots of sunshine, and but we know that it will be hot. So we made some adjustments, and I'm going to ask Ms. Al to come up to the mic. I do want to say that all staff worked very, very hard. Mr. Touchette working very closely with UL. Ms. Al has worked so close and so hard trying to get all of this in place today. So I want to thank Ms. Aloisio and our principals. You know, it was important to us as a staff, but since May, when we had the COVID shutdowns and we weren't able to do graduation, then it's our high school administrators that said this was important to them to do this for their graduates. So I want to commend our high school administrators. They actually weren't set to come back to work until the 9th, I believe, Ms. Gardner. I believe they were, and they've worked all the way through this to make this happen. So I want to publicly on the board floor this evening say thank you to all of our high school administrators and staff who've worked to make this possible. Ms. Al, I'll let you go ahead and talk about the time adjustments that we will send out in our press release.
Okay, good afternoon. So we worked real hard with UL to secure everything for our graduates this coming week. One of the obstacles we had was the heat for the children outside. So what we had to do was change the times from the original times. The dates that the children were set to graduate never changed. So like on Thursday, Northside and Acadiana were set to graduate, and they still will graduate on Thursday. What we've done is change the times. So we had to start early enough so we could get 2 graduations in the morning and 1 in the later afternoon, so that we would not have the heat of the day. So we start off at 7:30, and Northside will begin on Thursday, and then Acadiana will close down at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So we only have 2 graduations on Thursday. Then on Friday and Saturday, we have 3 graduations. We'll start with David Thibodeau at 7:30, 11 will be ECA, and then 6 o'clock will be Lafayette High. And then on Saturday, we'll start off with Como, Karen Crow, and then Southside. So all of the schools are staying on the same day. Their times slots just changed. I met with the principals around 4:30 this afternoon, gave them this schedule so all of the children and their parents will be informed via PACE message, Facebook page, however they communicate with the children and the students and the parents to let them know. Most of the children today went to their schools to pick up their passes for graduation. Each student's family receives 4 passes for graduation. Everything that we had in place for the Cajun Dome is being duplicated at Cajun Field. So they still have 4 passes. They must have their tickets to get in. They have to wear a mask. One of the only things we changed, we were not going to have concessions, but because of the heat, we're going to provide them the ability to purchase water. So other than that, that's all that we're going to have. And we have a meeting tomorrow with the Cajun Dome. All principals will be there so we can knock out the actual logistics of how they're going to move and where they're going to sit and how we're going to social distance them in the stadium. Every adult or person in the stadium will have to wear a mask. And that was the same that when it was in the Cajun Dome. So nothing changed other than that. I want to thank my principals, the high school principals. They had a rough 24 hours. So they're amazing, and they are ready to dig in their heels and work and get ready. The turnaround for Northside and Acadiana is like 24 hours. So they'll hit the ground tomorrow morning, have the plans, and then we'll be rolling on Thursday. And I know it's going to be great. I'm just so happy for the students. I am so pleased that this has worked out for us. Thank you so much. If anyone has any specific questions I can answer for you.
Thank you, Ms. Aloisio. Does anybody have any questions, comment, want to add anything? Ask Ms. Aloisio anything? Mr. Santani?
Are there any special directions for parking, or is it where should they enter, where should they park, things like that?
That's the details that we're going to line up tomorrow morning to make sure. I have the gates written down, but they were skeptical. I'll tell you this, the graduates will have an entrance that they're going to use to come in. The parents will have 2 entrances for them to pull in their vehicles, multiple entrances to enter the actual venue. And then we'll have for ADA, any handicapped will have an entrance for them. I think it's on the south side, but all of that's been taken care of. Like we have all that's been done.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Santani, we will be sure to put out very specific details after they visit with Cajun Field folks tomorrow.
Right, and we were, I explained to them, I said, today's job is to tell the parents the time of their graduation, the location of their graduation, and give them those details. And then tomorrow will come the find, like where you drive, where you come in, but the parking's gonna be great because Cajun Field's got a lot of parking spots. So I think we're gonna be okay. Really do.
Ms. Morrison?
Yes. Is there any limit to gas and social distancing that is going to be put in place?
Like when they
on
come.
the Cajun Field, yeah.
Well, when they come in, we have, they're going to be just like they was going to happen in the Cajun Dome. We're going to have attendants that are going to help them find seating, and they're going to have assigned, like they have to put their 4 seats in one area. They sit together, and they'll be social distance from the other occupants in the stadium. So everything's social distancing. When the parents or grandparents, whatever, the family members are there, whenever they're walking around, when they come in, it's going to be go find your seat. That's going to be the number one priority. And then if you have to move, like to get up to go to the restroom, whatever, you'll have to put your mask on. But when you're sitting, once you sit and you're in your area with your family, then you could take your mask off at a time. It's going to be hot outside, so we should be okay. But anytime they move around, they'll have to have their mask on.
So, Ms. Morrison, if you're asking if there's a limit to the number of folks who can participate, yes, they have
yes,
to
ma'am.
have the ticket that they were going to need to get into the Cajun Dome. They'll have their 4 tickets. I think our high school started giving those out today.
Yes, ma'am.
So folks need to pick those up from their high schools, but without a ticket, you can't enter without a ticket.
Right.
What about board members? Do you suggest, to limit the number of board members that attend, or will that change? I know initially it asked that.
No, ma'am, we
Maybe
invite
all
all
attend,
board
that's
members to
fine.
all the ceremonies. Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We should be fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Mason?
I had a question. I know if I was sitting in the stands, I'd probably want to wear a hat or maybe even bring like an umbrella. So I'm just curious. I mean, I don't know what the regulations are at Cajun Field usually, or if, I'm sure people will be thinking of these things as well. I just want to make it clear for everyone.
And good question. I don't think they can bring an umbrella, but it's on my list to check tomorrow morning. We're worried about, one of the things we're looking into is to have water for the graduates, because they're not going to have the ability to go purchase water. So the principals are already on that, so we're thinking about those things. But at this time, I don't think they can bring an umbrella. I will check, but, just for viewing purposes, I don't think that's going to be a possibility.
So you are saying that the concession stand will be open? with
For water only.
Okay.
For water only. But you see, the graduates, I think, are going to be on the opposite side because of seating and stuff. So I think it's just going to be on the home side that we're going to have the water for sale.
Okay.
We don't want them having to buy water.
Right.
We're going to get
Of
them
course.
water.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. LeBeau?
Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe originally the gentlemen were supposed to wear pants for graduation. Are we waiving that requirement so that they can, because of the heat?
I haven't changed any of their attire for under their cap and gowns. I mean, I
Okay.
haven't.
Okay.
I haven't.
I just was curious if that
Yes,
was being
ma'am.
changed. Okay, thank you.
I haven't. The principals haven't come up with that as a question, so that's the first time. I haven't gotten that one.
Yeah, I know I would definitely want to wear shorts. If I was graduating in the heat, I think it would be something great to consider. So
Just because the females can wear dresses, it might be nice for the short pants to come out for the gentlemen if they need it just due to the heat, so, yeah.
Mr. Angel?
Yes, I have a question. What about the financial part of this? How much do we normally pay for the Cajun Dome, the breakfast or whatever it is, the facilities? And then furthermore, how much are we paying for the use of the football stadium?
Okay, so I think Ms. Trosclair, I'd like to defer to you for the cost. I don't have that information in front of me.
So I don't know, Mr. Angel, what the cost was last year. I know the contract that we had this year with the Cajun Dome was, I want to say double. I want to say around $90,000 because of the extra safety protocols they were having to put in place as far as for hand sanitizer, extra folks to help with the checking of temperatures as people came in. We don't have the contract yet for Cajun Field. The Cajun Dome still works with Cajun Field on their events such as this. Cajun Field, UL, is actually donating the use of their facility free of charge to us, but we are waiting to see what the charges will be because they'll still have to sanitize after one group leaves, and so we're waiting on Cajun Dome to give us what it will cost for their services at Cajun Field.
And that does include security and
All of those
ushers
costs.
and stuff like that they're going to have around. So
So I think I would say it's probably going to be substantially less than we would have paid. Ms. Mason?
So how does the, what's the contract look like with the Cajun Dome right now in terms of, I mean, have we already paid them the money?
No.
Or are we
No.
losing any money by canceling?
No.
No, ma'am, there were actually terms in the contracts that
Okay,
any
great.
acts of governmental authorities such as, and different terms, so that's not a problem.
Any other board member comment? Dr. Shasso?
So the parents are sitting in the stadium, correct? They're sitting in the actual bleacher seats?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they don't need to bring chairs then?
No, sir, no chairs.
Okay. Because we had said chairs.
When we thought we were having them
When-
at the schools,
Right.
Right.
that's what we thought we would need, but since we're in, you have the large facility, we're able to seat the parents in the stadiums.
Any other questions or? Mrs. Santani?
I wanted to wait until everybody was done asking their questions, because I do have something to say about our experience yesterday. I am, as I told Ms. Strasclair walking in, I am much calmer than I was yesterday afternoon, but I was very angry. I went through the 5 stages of grief, and I think I'm finally at acceptance. But I did want to tell everyone about what the process has been like and how disappointed I am, not just for the students. As Mr. Latchley said, congratulations to our seniors, because these guys have been through a lot. They started their freshman year 2 weeks late because of the flood in 2016. They ended their senior year 2 months early. In the meantime, didn't have a senior prom, very nearly didn't have to get to have graduation, which, by the way, Ms. Trosclair and her staff, when school shut down, they immediately said their priority was to have high school graduation for these students, and they came up with a great plan to have it. I personally was the most excited I was the most excited for the opportunity to show Lafayette Parish what a responsible gathering looked like. That's what I was most excited. We met or exceeded, the plan we had met or exceeded every current order from the health officials and from the governor. And yet, that didn't seem to make a difference. And I'll read you the clause that says you can't gather more than 250 people. To further prevent the spread of COVID-19 at large indoor gatherings, there shall be a crowd size limitation of no more than 250 people in a single indoor space at the same time, where individuals will be in close proximity to one another and unable to maintain strict social distancing. However, social distancing shall be practiced in any crowd size. And what that says is you can gather 250 people in an indoor space as long as you social distance. And due to the tireless efforts of the Cajun Dome and Ms. Strasclair and her staff, we were going to have at least 10 feet in any direction between our families. The maximum number of tickets for any graduation was Lafayette High, and it was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 17% of the Cajun Dome's capacity. And what we were told yesterday, even though no one to this moment has decided to put their name on the denial, the fire marshal told us, but even he's not taking credit for that. Everybody's sitting around pointing the finger. We still don't have a name of someone who made the decision. So even that they said 250 people, it begs the question. So, could we not have a gathering of 251 people in the Superdome? Like, there's no room for flexibility of venue size there. I agree you can't put 250 people in La Coretta downtown. That's ridiculous. But there's got to be some manner to judge what is safe and what is not, especially when the most current guidance says that this was a good plan. And so, you guys, we announced in May that we were having this graduation. I know you guys have been looking at every order the governor has issued since then. I know when the June 24th order came out, I went and read it because I immediately saw 250 people, and then I read the clause that says social distancing. It's like, oh, okay, we got that covered. And so we're in compliance, and it's why the mayor president certainly said that we were still exempt from the order because we were meeting the order. And then we get told yesterday that it's shut down. Now, I understand. I can guess, even though we haven't been told, I can guess why we got shut down. I can. We've had a spike in cases. Hospitalizations are up. I understand that. I would like somebody to tell us that's the reason. That's what I would like, for someone to tell us what the reason is. Why are we being treated differently? than someone else. And if the answer is truly sound science, I'm okay with it. I am. But that's not what happened. It's not what happened at all. And so we spent yet another day of our staff not doing anything but trying to put out fires and find a place for these poor students to have graduation. And you guys did it. And I'm just so thankful that you did, because these students deserve all the hard work that you guys have put in. They deserve it. And I'm so happy for them. But a month from now, so let's think down the road, a month from now, school districts around the state, private schools around the state, are going to be making a momentous decision on how, when, or whether to have in-person school. And I expect, or I hope, that we will all be following guidance from our public health officials. That's what I want to do. I certainly don't want our students to be unsafe. I certainly don't want our staff and our teachers to be unsafe. But I also value and really and truly believe that in-person education with a teacher is the most effective way for our students to learn. And so I want to follow the guidance. But my first experience with following the guidance didn't work out very well. And I'm still upset. I'm still angry about it, if you can't tell. And so I beg the governor, I beg the Department of Health and Hospitals, I beg the fire marshal, I beg anyone. I don't know who specifically to beg, because they haven't told me who to beg. But I beg anyone, please, with any authority over this situation, please have a process in place, because 70 school districts around the state, countless private schools, will be making decisions based on the words they put on the paper. And if we get told on August 11th that whatever plan we make, whether we open or not, is not good enough, and we are able to point to words and say, but we're meeting what you said, there's got to be something better than this. It's got to be. Today was graduation, and we were able to accommodate this. But if you do this the night before the first day of school, it's not going to be pretty. So, my eternal thanks to all of you for the work you did yesterday in pulling this off. My eternal thanks to Tijo Savoy, who has really come to the rescue of these students, who I would presume a lot of them will become his students soon. So thank you to Dr. Savoy, and especially thank you to Senator Paige Cortez, Senator Bob Hinskins, and Representative Jean-Paul Cusson for all of the phone calls and help they gave us yesterday. We truly appreciate it. So thank y'all for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Santani, and I can thank you. It's Mrs. Santani called me 1:30. I think the conversation started with, I don't want to bust your bubble. I don't remember how it started, but I took Mrs. Santani's fire yesterday as passion and hurt and disappointment, because here once again it looked like we were going to push a class of seniors aside, and we had many conversations yesterday, on how to fix this, and I echo his thanks to our representatives in Baton Rouge who went to bat for us and tried to get answers and so forth and so on. It makes me wonder, with everything staff had done, they put it out a week ago to be very, very transparent on what we were going to do as a school system to ensure safety. Our graduation would have been about 1,000 times safer than the casinos were this past weekend. I mean, if you look at some of the pictures of the casinos in Lake Charles, the people packed on top of each other in the pool, so forth and so on, that was allowed to take place. But we couldn't run what would have probably been one of the safest events to be held in this state. And it makes me wonder, how is that allowed and this not allowed? But we're not high enough on the totem pole to maybe get those answers or to make those decisions. But that's kind of what sort of bothered me. They just kind of pushed aside the work this staff did. I think they did everything they were asked to do and more, and exceeded expectations. I didn't ask. Are there any comments, questions, remarks from the audience? Being this is just discussion. Anything from staff and any other board members want to say anything? If not, we'll. Oh, Mr. Broussard.
Question, are we going to get instructions as to where we can come in and where we're supposed to park, and for the board members, are we going to get updated instructions on tonight or tomorrow before the event?
Yes, sir. Ms. Aloisio will visit with some other staff members, UL, tomorrow to work all of those details out, and our goal is tomorrow afternoon to be able to communicate those details to the public and then to each of you as well.
Thank you, Mr. Broussard. Ms. Mason, I think you may be the final question. Go ahead, ma'am.
I just wanted to echo what Mr. Centani and Mr. Latchley were saying. You know, the way the decision was made to cancel our graduation ceremonies, yet the casinos are still rolling. I think it's time for Lafayette Parish to show that we value our education and we're going to have graduation. And I think Louisiana, you know, needs to get on the same page. So had to say that.
Very well said. Anything else? I keep looking at you, Dr. Chassaw. Come on. Come on. Chime in.
I wasn't going to say anything. Justin's killing me right now. I want to echo his sentiments as well. Him and I were on the phone last night about, close to midnight last night. And it's very upsetting to get notification from a Gmail account.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You know, at least pay the $10 to get the domain name. And then in the same email not have a person to reference it to or a contact number to call you back at. I'm just supposed to email you back at said account. That's very upsetting. And I'd at least like to mention that there's a better way to do business, and we don't operate that way.
Thank you, Dr. Chasson. I knew you had to chime in. Thank you. Ms. Morrison.
I just want to echo Mr. Centeni how the most important thing is our students and what have been taken away from them, their prom. And we all remember, we would dream about that day, that night, graduation. And so we have to kind of put ourselves in their shoes and really understand what was taken away from them. So the fact that we are able to give them a graduation the best way we can in the situation is today, you know, I don't think anyone is to blame for COVID, for the spike in, you know, COVID cases. I think that a lot of our leaders are in limbo. It's one day at a time, and every day they're making a different decision based upon what those results are. You know, our leaders are human. They've never experienced this pandemic. We haven't. We read about it years ago and how they handled it. But what's more important is for us to work together and make the best decision to make sure our students are safe, we're safe, and that our kids get the best education, the best way we could possibly give it to them. And we pray, I pray, I'm a praying person, that we can continue doing all the great work we have been doing. And that's why we're Lafayette Parish School System. That's why we're a B district. And that's why we're going to make it through this. And we're going to move forward. And we're going to be shining stars. I know it with all my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. If that's it, we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. And I think the final thing I'll say, and it's probably our final time to be able to speak to this class, I want the class of 2020 to know they were worth the effort. They were worth our time. They were worth our fight. They were worth our anger. In the end, they were worth it. You are worth it. We're very proud of you. I truly believe y'all have a bright future. Ms. Trosclair, thank you. Echo it down to your staff. Thank them all. I'll try to thank everybody in person. We appreciate it. Thank you to my fellow board members for showing up this evening. I'm glad we didn't have to take any action. Once again, the University of Louisiana, thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see y'all starting Thursday. This meeting is adjourned.